Well, good morning. So it is 10:30 on a Saturday, and I'm here in Sydney, and I have a conference in Melbourne at noon. Now, the reason why I'm not panicking and running around the house and clearly already not on a plane is because my conference is actually online. So I thought this was a really cool experience, hopefully kind of one-in-a-life experience, of doing a surgical conference, so including surgical skills and mentorship and breakout sessions, all through Zoom. And yeah, it starts at noon, so I'm just having breakfast now in the comfort of my own apartment. Here I am at the conference location. I'm pretty excited to see how this will go. I think we'll probably see that it's got a lot more content and less socializing, obviously, than most conferences would have. The only other conference I attended, which you can see up here, had a lot of time in between sessions for attendees to mill about, see sponsors, and also talk and meet each other. And that's just not really super easy to facilitate in an organic way online. So something that probably won't happen very much, which means that a conference that may have been 3 or 4 days in length is now just 2, more like 1.5. And that's, I think, okay. I think it's gonna be a really good sort of rapid fire weekend. So I'm pretty excited. I'm just gonna get myself kind of situated and, get ready to participate and listen and learn and be inspired. So we just finished our first session. Just a keynote speaker speaking about her career in a sort of research surgery. It was Professor Christabel Saunders. It's a really good way to kind of start it. I do think being online, you don't get as much of the excitement and the you just don't get that the crowd feeling of conference time, we're gonna learn. But the way they're organizing it, they're using the Q&A function on Zoom, so you can ask questions. There was one troll. Then you can upvote other people's questions, so it's kind of nice because I feel like at other conferences, some people can be a bit nervous to walk up to the mic, and they may have a really good question that then may not be asked because they're nervous, and sometimes other people ask questions that maybe you don't care about as much, so the sort of crowd sourcing of questions is really nice, and they're just getting sorted out with the next speaker. Some of the fellow delegates in my area have been a little rowdy trying to climb the walls. So far, so good, very nice. Another perk, I can leave my headphones in and make myself coffee while I wait for the next speaker. There's a dog on Zoom. I don't know why I'm acting like I have to be quiet. They can't hear me. One of the surgeons on this panel has a fluffy little dog. So that was really cool. We just had a panel about adversity in surgery specifically, but adversity in medicine. So there were female clinicians who were some of the first surgeons in their field, in their area, a Maori woman who's now a surgeon back working in her community, which is amazing, and Professor Almadiras, who's actually from, works at Macquarie, who is a refugee to Australia and is now working in surgery. And it was just really, really cool. They had some really good things to say, and some differing perspectives, but that's how it always goes. But just some really important and poignant things to say about how we as med students can start to help others who face adversity and what we can do in the process of facing adversity, and just reflecting on the systemic discrimination, racism and sexism, and microaggressions and things like that we can both be prepared for, but also be prepared to combat, and how to go about that. And yeah, it was a really cool panel. Again, it's kind of nice that the questions are semi-anonymous, so you don't have to ask a specific question with your face behind it. I do wish that one had been in person, because I think it would have been nice to see them kind of ebb and flow, because I think the surgeons all knew each other fairly well, so it would have been nice to kind of have that energy. But I think that was really well done. So we're just about to start a mentorship session, and it should be going pretty well, but just a little technical difficulties, but that's okay.
So I think the question was, describe a typical day for you in the public versus the private setting.
back to how you navigated med school and your training, as you said, not coming from like a medical family, and like where you found sort of guidance and direction when you were looking for it. What's it called? That is day one done. I have to say that is probably the first conference I've ever been to that ran on time because there was no moving delegates from place to place. Yeah, we had a little bit of technical difficulties, but you know, that's fine. There's technical difficulties at every kind of conference. And the mentoring session we ended with was really nice. It was really reassuring. It was all of these surgeons who, you know, you hear their credentials and you're like, you're a genius. Saying things like, you know, focus on work-life balance right now, travel now, have your fun now, although we can't really travel. And saying that they weren't the best and the brightest in their classes, that they were studying every day and still not hitting like top, but yet they're still in roles that like we aspire to be in. So it's pretty cool. I have found a career idol who's in the role that maybe I want, I don't know, and also has an MPH and does global work, and I'm just like fangirling, so I have to go internet stalk and find them. But yeah, really good day one, and the nice thing now for me, as someone who doesn't love the drink nights, etc. that happen at conferences, I can go chill out with my cats. So I will see all of you tomorrow morning for day two. So I thought of another perk of online conferences. As someone with a food allergy, I have celiac, so I eat gluten-free. I get to make my own food and I don't have to worry about not being able to eat. And the first session is getting ready. It is on collaborative research. This was an opt-in session that I chose because I wanted to know more, so we'll see what I learned. Session just about collaborative research and how students can get involved was pretty interesting. It's still very much this sort of like intangible thing for me as someone with minimal research, well, no formal research experience and like no Australian doctors that I know to just be like, hey, how does this work? But it was definitely something, gave some context and some sort of ideas of places to start if I wanted to get involved with some of the organizations that they talked about. I don't know if this vlog is even interesting at all because it's all just me sitting at my desk, but I hope you enjoy it. This one that we're listening to right now is Dr. Michael Collins, who wrote Blue Collar, Blue Scrubs. I'll put it here. I have read that, or I read most of it, and I mean the whole point is facing adversity, and if you know anything about Dr. Collins' life, is that he, and you can tell from the title, Blue Collar, Blue Scrubs, so he used to work as on a construction site throwing rocks, so just like throwing the broken concrete. And then he decided to be a doctor, and how he went through that whole process as someone, you know, first gen from a blue collar background. So that was really good. Dr. Collins had some really good perspective. I mean, he even commented himself that he graduated med school 42 years ago when the majority of us at the conference were not even born. So he has watched a lot of the career change and a lot of the changes happening, and he spoke, I think, from a really realistic point of view, and I definitely am looking forward to his next book coming out, which he says tentatively named All Bleeding Stops in 2020 or 2021, and he wants to kind of use it as a way to tell stories that he experienced or that his friends experienced through this fictional character, kind of addressing the idealism that med students can have when going into careers in medicine or specifically surgery, and how that can hurt them in their journey, and hopefully leave some lessons along the way about how to better approach a realistic idea of your role and what you can do with your role. But yeah, he said some really great things. I really appreciated that he added the idea of when you're learning, always remember to be grateful to the patients, because if you think about it, if we're really going to give patients the best care, then it should only ever be attendings touching them and doing their surgeries. And at some point, someone will be the person to be your first injection, your first IV line, your first surgery if you go into surgery. There will be a patient that places that trust in you and your training thus far, with supervision, of course, but to allow you to be, or to allow them to be the first for you. And we need to recognize that sacrifice and be grateful to that, and be grateful, every day that a patient allows you to interact with them, because you're a med student, and eventually you're a trainee, and you're learning. And likelihood is whatever you do, if it's a history or something, you're gonna have to say it all over again to another doctor. Or if it's a skill, it might be more painful for them if you do it like an injection versus something else. But yeah, that was just a long thing to say. I really appreciate that he brought up how important gratitude is, and how grateful we should be to the patients that let us learn, and then eventually the patients that trust us to help them. Now there is a welcome and then a panel of different researchers. So today is very research focused, which is good for me to learn more. The panel was really cool. Mostly talked a lot about just how you shouldn't be doing research just to tick a box, even though in some sort of surgical training there is a box to tick, that you have to have that research before you're accepted into the program, or within the program you have to do it. But really think about what you bring to the table, what you're curious about, and what you want to research, because obviously it's going to take up a lot of time and energy, so you need to love it. That was sort of the gist of the panel, and then they talked about their own experiences and things, but I have to jump to the next session, which is starting in like 2 minutes. Second, I think, and obviously correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but the second I saw is kind of looking at perioperative care and like lifestyle modifications pre-surgery and how that changes outcomes post, and we can get into specifics of what those modifications are and what that surgery is. Yeah. So that one was a lot of fun. You had to break out into groups and just think of sort of ideas for potential collaborative research projects and just brainstorm. And it actually felt pretty collaborative, which was nice, considering online you can miss that sort of group brainstorm energy. But I think they did really well. Now we have a GibLib sponsored opportunity to watch. I don't really know what it is. And then after that we have a surgical skills workshop, and I need to break out my Christmas gift and open my suture kit. So should be good. So yeah, so this surgical kit, which I just tried to show you, but that clip did not go well. Anyways, this suture kit was a Christmas gift from my mom that was heavily requested from myself. Thank you, Mom and Dad. And I ordered it off Amazon, or I like sent her the Amazon link, and I think she followed it through. But it seems to have, you know, kind of everything you could need, a various amount of pickups and forceps, etc. But the reason why I liked this one was all of the sutures. So it just lets you practice a lot. So there's a combination of silk braided and nylon monofilaments. So, and I have no idea about the quality because I have nothing to compare it to. The pads feels sticky. So like almost you were like had sweaty palms. Kind of feels like that. It should work for today. I have to set up a second camera so that what we're seeing can be done. But we'll see how we go. First we have a presentation to watch. Someone wants the sutures. Okay. Suturing was hard. The woman teaching us obviously is just very good at it, and she went very fast. And I mean, we didn't speak up and say, please slow down, because no one knew the skill level of everybody else involved in the group. But it was pretty fun. I did some simple interrupted. They're probably very messy. And one vertical mattress. So I'm like, ooh, will it focus? Wow. Ooh, who is she? And just tried to remember some of the skills that we've been taught by one of the surgeons who did our suturing workshops previously. But yeah, it was, it was fun. It's a good excuse to get it out. I was just wrestling with Uni half the time because she wanted the sutures, which she can't have. And now we're just gonna have the closing ceremonies. Ending keynote speaker, I don't know. My camera actually died. Oh, hello! Bit of a bummer. The last keynote speaker couldn't make it. He was pulled away to an emergency surgery, which I guess, is expected and is okay and is fine. Overall, I think ASSC did really well. It was really cool. They really got to bring in some international speakers as well, because it was all online, and I think they translated it really well as much as possible online. So great work, everybody on the ASSC 2020 team. Yeah, that was my experience with the conference online. I hope it was kind of interesting. You kind of learned something. I really didn't do anything differently than I would normally at a conference. I was taking notes throughout, just of organizations, names, quotes, that kind of thing. And I'm just going to spend my Sunday evening going back through them and kind of making any items actionable, like if I want to follow up through with an opportunity or seek out opportunities, something like that. But yeah, a lot of fun. Got to hang out with my cats the whole time, and that is not a bad thing. So great work, ASSC. Thank you so much for hosting, and I'll see you next year.